Hey, it's me, your boy, Autor Deluxe. Today, we're doing it again. We are going to find out if it holds up. And what we're talking about today is Videodrome from 1983, directed by David Cronenberg. I found out about this movie through Jake Fogelnest. He is a writer, director. He worked on the show. I think he worked on Difficult People. He wrote for Girl Boss. He wrote Wet Hot American Summer, the TV show. He helped write that. He's in the Wet Hot American Summer movie. You remember from I Love the 80s, all that kind of VH1 fun stuff. But anyway, he is like a pop culture guru, and when he talks about pop culture, I listen every time.
May I say something?
Yes.
It's really great to be in Jake's Fogel's
nest.
No, you may not say that. That you may not say. No, I want you to stop and apologize and think about what you've done.
Oh my God! I ruined the whole show.
That was kind of mean-spirited, Zach.
Yeah, it's mean-spirited.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're trying to have. I like to have fun online. That's my whole thing.
And I remember on the podcast, Fogelnest Files, he was talking about Videodrome, and he's talking about all the body horror stuff, and like the gun in the stomach, and the TV, and the cigarette, and a beta tape breathing. So I mean, I went and immediately watched it after I heard him talk about it. And this is one of those movies that I subjected at least 2 or 3 girlfriends to, and they're like, why the fuck are we watching this? What the fuck is this? So there's that aspect of it. And I will say, I enjoyed the body horror, but as far as trying to interpret this movie, or even really trying to follow this movie, many times, because I was still drinking, I don't think I've seen it sober until I watched it today, I would just get a fucking headache. If I tried to follow the plot to this movie too much, it would take away from my enjoyment of it. So we're about 5 years from the last time I've seen it, and at least like couple hundred movies from the last time I've seen it. So let's dip back into it. Do I think it holds up? And again, it's just me. I'm having fun. Like, no one cares what I think. Like, I'm not the arbiter of taste or what's good. So yeah. Okay. So it doesn't hold up. Videodrome. So if you haven't seen Videodrome, it came out in 1983, directed by David Cronenberg. It's kind of like a horror thriller. It's unlike, like, I haven't seen very many movies like it other than other David Cronenberg movies. The story, it follows Max Wren, played by James Woods, who is a kind of sleazy TV producer looking for new content for his channel in Canada, and he's looking through all these different tapes, looking for all these different distributors, and then he starts unscrambling this pirated signal that he ends up finding out is Videodrome, and it's snuff films, it's pornography, it's just like the most extreme, most horrific things you can find on film. That's what he's seeing, and he comes to find out there's more to it than it meets the eye. It's kind of making him hallucinate, it's making changes in his body. So Videodrome, what the fuck is it? Like, Videodrome itself, I know it's a movie, but what the fuck is it? It creates tumors. It is the tumors. It's new flesh. It's these hallucinations. It's a beta tape that's breathing. It's this kind of transcendent hallucinatory experience. It's also, I think, it's plausible to interpret this movie as, I think, Videodrome and cocaine are interchangeable if you really look back at when this movie came out, and you look at James Woods' background, and I could see that at least being some of the inspiration for what Videodrome is. I think this movie, it starts with a really interesting plot. It starts with a lot of parallels to movies I really like. It starts with parallels to Network. It starts with parallels to Benny's Video, which I bring up often.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like at this moment to announce that I will be retiring from this program in 2 weeks' time because of poor ratings. Since this show was the only thing I had going for me in my life, I have decided to kill myself.
So what'd she say?
I'm going to blow my brains out right on this program.
But just the idea of kind of predicting reality TV, predicting live leak, predicting our obsession with screens, our obsession with the most extreme, and what comes with that, are becoming desensitized to those things. And is it healthy to be staring at screens all the time? Is it healthy to be taking in this horrific content, any kind of content, but specifically this horrific content all the time? And in the case of this movie, no. He grows tumors and goes insane. And Max Wren as a character kind of reminds me of Herschel Gordon Lewis, in that like, once you can only go so far with pornography, and then eventually the next thing is gore. He's the godfather of gore. He was the innovator, like the first movies with real gore in them. He did for like severed limbs what early pornographers did for like boobs. But I think Max Wren is kind of in that same vein. He is going for the next thing, like beyond pornography. It's this like almost snuff film, and he finds that in video. So we have this really interesting premise that the movie opens up with, but I do think at a certain point I get lost. At some point about 40 minutes into the movie, when he is pulling a gun out of the vagina in his stomach, I get a little lost. There are plenty of people that can go down that rabbit hole and really enjoy the movie that way and interpret what's the thing in his stomach, what's Debbie Harry represent, what is this saying about sadomasochism, what is this saying about violence, what is this saying about our culture. But I kind of tune out. Once it gets really inside with Oblivion, and it gets inside with the TV station itself, and there's a couple twists and turns, I'm just enjoying it for the ride. I'm not sitting here trying to interpret this movie at that point. I'm enjoying great body horror, some of the best practical effects of all time. It's a very bewildering movie, and it's intentionally bewildering, and I don't think it's impenetrable. I just think it's open to a lot of different interpretations, and I kind of roll with it at the beginning, and then I just kind of enjoy the visuals. I don't need to go all the way down that rabbit hole. To enjoy the movie, I can enjoy it for what it is. So does it hold up? I think it does hold up. I gave it a 3 back in the day on Letterboxd. I think I'm going to bump it up to a 4 now. I definitely watched it back in the day when I first discovered it as like weird for the sake of weird. Like, oh my god, look at him, look at the body horror, blah, blah, blah. But at this point, I think you can skim a little more off of it. There is more to it than that. But as far as going all the way in and like doing a deep dive interpreting this film, I don't need to do that. I'm not interested in doing that. I just think it's a Cronenberg movie, and this is from the mind of Cronenberg, and that's how they go. They go off the wall, hallucinatory body horror. I love it. And just the fact that this came out in 1983 when people were watching fucking Webster and Knots Landing, and just the idea of a TV channel showing basically snuff films and kind of predicting the home video craze of the 80s and 90s. This movie, it's influential in a lot of different ways, but I don't think I need to go all in on it to enjoy it. So yeah, I gave it a 3 at the time. I think I'd bump it up to a 4 now. So, do you agree? Does Videodrome hold up? Is it a good film? Is it a great film? Is it a bewildering film? Is it worth going all the way in? And like the gun represents this, and the stomach represents this, and the lips on the screen and everything. I don't think you need to go that far to really enjoy it. So please like this video, like and subscribe at Oswald Deluxe here on YouTube, also on Instagram, on Twitter, and then on Letterboxd at Ween, Ween. Thank you, and have a great day.